Imagine you are standing on the balcony of a luxury high-rise in Buckhead, Atlanta. The city lights are shimmering below you. You have a glass of expensive bourbon in your hand. Behind you, in the living room, is a woman named Elena. She is kind. She is successful. She just told you she loves you, and for the first time in your life, she actually meant it. She doesn't play games. She doesn't disappear for days. She is the perfect partner everyone told you to find. But as you look at her, you feel nothing. Or worse, you feel annoyed. You feel bored. You feel a strange, suffocating urge to put down your drink, grab your keys, and drive until the city lights disappear. 2 hours later, you are sitting in your car in a dark parking lot. Your heart is finally racing. Your palms are sweating. You are staring at your phone, waiting for a text from your ex-wife, a woman who spent 4 years belittling your career and making you feel invisible. She hasn't replied in 3 days. The silence is agonizing. It's painful. And for some reason, this pain is the only thing that makes you feel alive. He thought he had a type. His therapist said he had a wound. Why do we walk away from the people who love us to chase the people who hurt us? Why does a healthy relationship feel like a prison, while a toxic one feels like home? Tonight, we are looking at the story of David, a man who realized too late that he wasn't unlucky in love. He was just a passenger in a car driven by a ghost. Meet David. David is 41 years old. He's a high-level consultant in Atlanta. He's the guy people go to when they need a problem solved. He's logical. He's decisive. He's a man's man who grew up believing that if you work hard enough, you win. And for a long time, he did win. He had the career, the house, the car. But his personal life was a graveyard of broken marriages. First, there was Sarah. They married in their 20s. Sarah was sharp, critical, and impossible to please. David spent a decade trying to earn her affection. He thought that was just what marriage was, a constant climb up a mountain with no summit. Then came Monica. After the first divorce, David swore he'd do it differently. But Monica was even more distant. She lived for her work and treated David like a roommate she occasionally tolerated. By age 40, David was twice divorced and deeply confused. He told his friends he just had bad luck. He said Atlanta was a tough town for dating. He genuinely believed he was the victim of a string of emotionally cold women. He didn't realize that he was the one choosing the coldness. He was a heat-seeking missile for women who couldn't love him back. The first red flags never look like red flags when you're in the middle of them. They look like chemistry. When David met his second wife, Monica, he felt an instant electric spark. It was that can't eat, can't sleep kind of attraction. In the US, we call this love at first sight. We write songs about it. We make movies about it. But in relationship psychology, that spark is often something much darker. It's often the sound of two nervous systems recognizing the same trauma. David's mother was a prominent figure in his life, but she was emotionally unreachable. She was a woman who used silence as a weapon. If David got an A, she asked why it wasn't an A-plus. If he fell and scraped his knee, she told him to stop being dramatic. To a child, a mother is the world. If the world is cold, the child learns that love is something you have to perform for. You have to be perfect to be seen. You have to chase to be held. So, when David met Monica, a woman who was distracted, busy, and slightly unimpressed by him, his brain didn't see a red flag. It saw a challenge. It saw familiarity. He mistook his own anxiety for passion. He thought the pit in his stomach was butterflies, when really, it was his body telling him, here we go again. This is the struggle you were born for. But here is the catch. David didn't know he was doing this. Nobody does. We don't wake up and say, I think I'll date someone who makes me feel small today. It happens in the quiet moments. It's the way she rolls her eyes when you tell a joke. It's the way he forgets your birthday. To a regulated person, these are reasons to leave. To someone like David, these are reasons to try harder. The tension was building, but the explosion was still years away. The breakdown didn't happen during a fight. It happened during a moment of peace. David had finally started dating Elena, the warm, consistent woman from the high-rise. For 6 months, life was quiet. No screaming matches. No wondering where she was at 2 a.m. No guessing how she felt about him. And David was miserable. He felt bored. He told his friends Elena was too nice. He said there was no spark. One night, Elena cooked a beautiful dinner. She had bought his favorite wine. She sat across from him and said, David, I'm so happy we found each other. I feel so safe with you. David looked at her and felt a wave of pure revulsion. His skin crawled. He felt like he had to get out of the house. He broke up with her that night. No real reason. Just, it's not working. He drove to a bar, and within an hour, he was texting his first ex-wife, Sarah. Sarah, who had told him he was a failure 3 years ago. She replied with something cruel. "Why are you texting me? Don't you have a life?" And in that moment, as he read her mean-spirited text, David felt a sense of relief wash over him. His heart rate leveled out. He felt right again. He was sitting in a dive bar, being insulted by a woman who hated him, and his brain was telling him, finally, we are back where we belong. That was the moment he realized he was sick. He realized that boring was actually just healthy, and he was terrified of it. He realized he didn't want to be loved. He wanted to be rejected, because rejection was the only language his heart spoke fluently. What David was experiencing is a concept first coined by Sigmund Freud and later expanded by trauma researchers like Bessel van der Kolk. It's called repetition compulsion. It is the unconscious drive to recreate familiar emotional dynamics, even the painful ones. Think about your nervous system like a thermostat. If you grew up in a house where the temperature was always set to chaos or criticism, your body learned to survive at that temperature. When you grow up and enter a relationship that is warm and stable, your internal thermostat freaks out. It's too hot. It feels wrong. So, you unconsciously do things to bring the temperature back down to the cold, familiar place you know. You pick a fight. You cheat. You leave. Or, you choose people who are already cold so you don't have to do the work of cooling them down. Bessel van der Kolk explains in his book The Body Keeps the Score that trauma survivors unconsciously seek out familiar emotional environments. Why? Because familiarity feels like safety, even if that safety is actually a house on fire. To David's nervous system, Elena was a stranger. But his critical mother and his cold ex-wives? They were home. He wasn't unlucky. He was an architect of his own misery, building the same house over and over again, wondering why the roof kept leaking. He couldn't recognize healthy love because he had no template for it. He was looking for a ghost in every room. David didn't fix himself overnight. He went into intensive therapy. For the first year, he hated it. He fought his therapist. He told her she was wrong. He insisted he just liked independent women. But then, they started talking about his mother. Not the good version he told everyone about. The real version. The version who wouldn't look at him when he cried. He had to grieve the mother he never had before he could love the woman he actually did have. Today, David is 43. He is still in Atlanta, but he's not in a high-rise anymore. He moved to a quieter house with a yard. He is dating again. He says it's the hardest thing he's ever done. Not because the women are mean, but because they are kind. He has to practice staying in the room when a woman is nice to him. He has to talk himself down when he feels bored. He tells himself, "You aren't bored, David. You are just not in danger." There is a difference. Recovery from repetition compulsion is about retraining your nervous system to recognize peace as a destination, not a threat. He still gets the urge to call the difficult women from his past. But now, he recognizes that urge for what it is, a craving for a drug that almost killed him. He isn't lucky in love yet. But for the first time in 41 years, he's finally awake. If you find yourself saying, "I always date the same person in a different body," listen closely. Here are 3 psychological lessons from David's story. 1. The spark is a warning. If you feel an instant, overwhelming, soulmate connection with someone you barely know, be careful. High-intensity attraction is often just your trauma recognizing their trauma. Healthy love usually starts as a slow burn, not a forest fire. 2. Audit your home temperature. Take a look at your childhood. Was it loud? Was it cold? Was it conditional? Now, look at your partners. If they make you feel the same way your parents did, you aren't in love, you are in a reenactment. You are trying to get a different ending from the same old script. 3. Practice the boredom test. If you meet someone who is kind, consistent, and available, and you feel bored, stay for 3 more dates. Ask yourself, is it boredom, or is it just the absence of anxiety? We often mistake a lack of conflict for a lack of chemistry. Learn to tolerate peace. Your nervous system can be retrained. You don't have to keep marrying your mother's patterns. You can choose a new home. David's story is a reminder that we don't choose who we love based on what's best for us. We choose based on what's familiar. But what happens when the person you choose isn't just cold, but is actively, secretly planning your destruction? Next week, We are going to Texas to meet a 46-year-old woman who thought her marriage was perfect. She was a stay-at-home mom, raising 3 kids, planning their 12th anniversary trip. She didn't know her husband had been meeting with a divorce attorney for 3 years. She didn't know he had been systematically hiding assets, draining accounts, and building an exit strategy while she was building a home. We are diving into the divorce she didn't see coming. We'll look at the psychology of covert passive aggression and the terrifying reality of financial abuse in the American suburbs. How can a man sleep next to you for a decade while planning his disappearance? Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss that episode. In the comments below, I want to hear from you. Have you ever left a good person because you felt bored? Or have you realized that your type is actually just a pattern from your past? Let's talk about it. I'm your host, and this has been Emotional Horror Stories. Don't go home to a house on fire. We'll talk soon.